Minnie, thank you so much for joining me to talk about your memoir, your collection of stories about your life, Managing Expectations. Why did you go for the format of kind of individual stories from moments in your life rather than kind of like trying to tell everything?
Well, I'm not a huge fan of, I was born in... I'm not a fan of that, although sometimes I am, but I didn't want to do that. I realised that the stories that I like to tell, like I've noticed that over the years, like you become super attuned to any kind of audience when you're an actor, like, and that includes 5 people around your kitchen table for dinner on a Tuesday, of stories that connect, and you're also really attuned to like holding an audience. And I've just seen the stories that I've told that have just made people really laugh, or have made them ask lots of questions afterwards, or have moved them, or have just sort of held them. And so I had a pretty good idea of what was engaging, and I thought that was probably a good place to begin in writing a book, was to really know what you're writing. And I know these stories, and I already knew that I'd seen them connect in another way. So I'd seen them connect orally, so I was like, okay, well, perhaps if I write them down and play around with language a bit more.
And were they moments that were in some way all formative for you?
Yeah, they were all inflection points. And they were all, stuff going wrong, like not working out.
Yeah.
And then what that then became. I don't really believe in a linear idea of success at all. I think that is cruelly hefted upon people by outside influences that have no business deciding, what the barometer for success is.
Yeah.
I've thought it was different things at different times, but it was kind of in review, really realizing this kind of richly experiencing life, even when it all goes tits up. Sorry, can you say tits up?
Yeah, you can say tits up, that's fine.
But when it all goes pear-shaped, there's the better version. And then seeing what that then turns into, and invariably that's your life. Like that, your life is the stuff not working out.
And is that why you say that kind of happy endings are overrated?
Yeah, because I just never came across a happy ending that was the end. Like it might have been a moment where it felt like a completion, but excuse the double negative, but like there's never not a little green shoot of something else coming out of that ending, beginning the next piece, and it's all connected. So I was just sort of interested in that idea, and also I tortured myself with the idea of needing a happy ending for so long that perhaps I've also found a way to create my own philosophy about their uselessness.
And how have you, in contrast to that, now managed to make yourself kind of aware of enjoying a journey of wherever that might be going?
My boyfriend reminds me, because I'm useless at it. I wrote this book clearly as a textbook to remind myself of all the stuff that I just need to learn. Someone said that when I was really young, probably one of my teachers, that you write best what you need to learn, or you teach best what you need to learn. And it's true. I really do. It's something I have to remind myself to do, like to kind of take your coordinates from your current position. Don't constantly be trying to monitor your journey from like where you were or where you think you'll be, but to be really clear about where you are. And sometimes that's hard because where you are can suck. And it's sort of about going, that's also fine. It's fine for it to suck. It will turn into something else. Just give it a minute, breathe, have a cup of tea, cry, ask your boyfriend for help.
And the stories from your childhood, there's one where you are sent away from Barbados by your dad when his when you as quite an outspoken child said something to his new girlfriend.
Yeah, I was not kind to her.
Explain a little bit about what happened with that experience and how and what maybe that meant to you as a child to kind of do this, be sent on your own to kind of fly back to England. And
well, I mean, because the reality was, like, I thought I was being sent back to England, but I wasn't. I was actually sent to Miami, age 11, by myself, where I spent a a day and a night by myself in this insanely amazing, crazy hotel called the Fontainebleau, which was the sort of hub of, like, it was the biggest den of iniquity in the southern states of North America. I mean, it really was. It was hardcore. And my father was so cross with me for being rude to his girlfriend. He couldn't wait the 24 hours until there was a direct flight back to England. He needed me to leave then. And that was the only flight available, was this. So it was an odyssey of, getting thrown out of somewhere. So being exiled. So that experience. But also, I've clearly always been up for an adventure. So even at 11, I couldn't quite believe that it was happening to me. And I was really into it. And I was also horrified. The big takeaway that I do remember when I walked out, because I decided I was going to first of all, I was going to buy the entire gift shop because he'd left a credit card on file at the hotel. So I basically ran up like this thousands of dollars on his credit card. That was part of my revenge. And then I went to go swimming in the pool. And what was devastating, I was a little girl, was I'd never been to a pool without my family or without a friend. And I didn't know what on earth you were supposed to do in a pool if you weren't playing. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of started swimming up and down. And that was the saddest that I got, because I was so cross with him for ruining being at the pool, which is like one of the great, amazing experiences when you're a kid. Like, that is just pure, unadulterated fun. And there I was swimming up and down like, a granny. And I was really bummed and really furious at him then. And then I got taken in by this Cuban exile and spent the rest of the afternoon with him and his family in a cabana.
As you do.
As you do. I mean, things could have gone really differently. Like, bad things could have happened, but bad things didn't happen. Mm. And I think consequently, I'm quite a brave person about like going places by myself.
Yeah.
Like, I rock up to things stag all the time and then get really weird looks from people, and people ask me if I'm all right. And it's... But I actually quite like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't mean this in a bad way.
No, go ahead. You can mean it in a bad way.
How many of the stories in the book, because they are these formative things, have you either talked to or thought about talking to a therapist about?
Oh, yeah, that's... you gotta listen to this book. It's pretty fucked up. I love it. So why am I asking, have you sought professional help?
It's only because they're the sort of things that I talk to my therapist about. So and I was true. Like...
Yeah, no, totally. I've definitely talked about... I mean, the Miami story has made several therapists just kind of scream with laughter and then be like, excuse me, I'm so sorry, let's get down to work. Because there's really a lot of work to be done. I didn't seek... I guess I sought a bit of help through all of the crazy fame stuff when it first started, but there wasn't really time to go and... I've talked about it subsequently, but I do... The useless boyfriend who cheated on me, who, which is at the end of the book, who, what's most annoying is that he was my great friend, and I'm more annoyed about having lost my friend, really, than the boyfriend. But the greatest thing he ever said to me was, don't look back, ever. Just whenever you're really even thinking of doing that, don't look back. Just be here now. You got to ram dust the shit out of life and just be here. I would look back for reference briefly, but not to kind of seek comfort or think that it will kind of heal this present moment. I don't know. I've done a lot of looking back, and I didn't really do much. I think it's better just to be here and like check out your scars and your wounds occasionally and like tend to them.
And do you feel like, having written these down and also narrated them for the audiobook, do you feel like maybe there's some of these things in the past that now are sort of let go almost?
I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you know.
Yeah.
Like, I sort of go and poke the wound a little bit. Like, is that still? Oh, yeah, that does still hurt a bit. It's like when you give a shape to something. It's like I noticed that with my son when he was little. Like, if he would have a nightmare, the best thing that we could do was for him to tell me the story. Like, tell me what, even though you think it's counterintuitive to kind of to be in it again, tell the story. And in telling the story and hearing it out loud and having it witnessed and acknowledged, he could then let it go and just go straight back to sleep. So I wonder, I think it probably is really good. I think that's why storytelling is so powerful, and why people being asked to tell their stories, or why I think therapists do that a lot, don't they? Go go and write this story down and then burn it in a field on a full moon. I like that. I do that. But don't burn my book.
No, don't do that.
It's not that kind of a thing.
So it's called Managing Expectations. Yeah. Whose expectations were you managing? Your own? Those around you?
Yeah, everything. I think expectations, I think they're actually a really sinister word, sort of dressed up as like super kind of norm, like normcore word that is actually devastating and awful and we should get rid of it. You actually can't manage an expectation, because having an expectation in the first place is probably going to trip you up. But it's really those of society, those of your parents, the ones you put upon yourself, men to women, women to men. This idea that we have, like some code, this has to happen. I expect this to happen, and then this will happen. Like, it just doesn't work like that. Life isn't linear at all. And you can try and like stake it out with events. Like, I'm going to get married, and then I'm going to have a kid. I'm going to get a mortgage, and that means my expectation of a happy life is almost assured. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's a weird word. I don't like it.
So you chose it for your
book.
I
chose it for my title. Correct.
Still don't burn the book.
Still don't burn the book.